You're directing your frustration at the wrong person, draining your energy through resentment, jealousy, and comparison toward this third party in your divine masculine's life. The person you perceive as an enemy is actually doing work you couldn't do alone. This third-party karmic isn't obstructing your union, she's laying the groundwork for it. Every second you continue seeing her as an adversary, you are closing the very door that could lead you to the union you desire. In this video, I'll explain why the third-party karmic is actually a hidden lie on your twin flame journey. She serves a specific purpose, established in the soul contract you made before incarnation. Most importantly, I'll show you the single shift you must make within yourself so her role can naturally complete, allowing union to occur. If you watch until the end, you'll uncover what depth psychology revealed about why her presence was essential, how she enables the healing needed to remove the blocks to your union. Perhaps you simply need to stop resisting her, stop judging her, and stop seeing her as competition. When you move out of duality and into unity, transcending judgment and embracing understanding, everything will naturally fall into place without you having to force anything. Before diving into her role, it's critical to understand why twin flames don't heal each other, even in the most intense, transformative, and overwhelming connection two souls can experience in this physical dimension. This understanding is the foundation for everything else. Depth psychology uncovered a truth many on the spiritual twin flame path resist accepting. It challenges the romanticized ideas surrounding this concept. Twin flames don't come to heal one another, fill emotional gaps, fix childhood trauma, or rescue each other from destructive patterns. They come for something far more demanding and powerful. They come to mirror each other. They reflect with absolute precision what remains unhealed within each person, what hides in the shadows of consciousness and can be denied alone becomes impossible to ignore when faced directly. That is the essence of your twin flame. When you look at them, interact with them, and feel the intensity of the connection, you are not meeting someone who will complete or heal you. You are standing before a mirror, a brutally honest reflection of your unresolved patterns, wounds, and aspects of yourself that still require integration. This is why the twin flame connection is both the most beautiful and the most challenging experience of your life. There is no escaping yourself when faced with this mirror. Every action of his that frustrates you, every choice that brings despair, every moment that seems to oppose your expectations is showing you something vital about yourself. Not as punishment, not as a test of suffering, but as a necessary revelation. These aspects of your consciousness can only be illuminated and integrated through this unique connection with this particular soul. But this is where the role of the third-party karmic becomes not just relevant, but essential to the entire process. There are multiple layers of healing within the divine masculine. Deep levels of his inner world, suppressed trauma, inherited ancestral patterns, and unresolved wounds from past lives cannot be reached through his connection with you. They simply cannot. And this is not your responsibility. It is not because you are lacking. It is not because your love is insufficient. It is not because you have failed to grow spiritually. The reason is that the energetic frequency you hold, no matter how elevated and refined it is, does not align with those specific layers that require healing within him. Think of this in terms of radio signals. You may be transmitting on the clearest, highest, and most harmonious frequency available. However, if there are stations within his system operating on entirely different frequencies formed in childhood, shaped through ancestral trauma, or carried over from past lives, your signal will not reach them. You may be expressing unconditional love, healing, and transformation, Yet those inner parts of him cannot receive it because they are not tuned to your frequency. This is precisely where the third-party karmic becomes necessary. She holds the exact energetic coding required to activate those deeply buried layers. She resonates directly with the wounds that must rise to awareness. She triggers the patterns that need to be acknowledged in order to be transformed. She reaches the shadow aspects of his psyche that your light and love are unable to access. And she does this not because she is superior to you, not because she possesses something you lack, but because she carries a very specific frequency required for this particular stage of healing. There are aspects of healing within the divine masculine that must be activated through an energetic frequency entirely different from yours, a heavier, denser frequency that connects with the parts of him still operating from fear, pain, and survival-based conditioning. This third party was selected at a soul level on the spiritual plane before any of you entered this lifetime. She was chosen specifically because she carries the precise karmic codes and frequencies needed to awaken those deep layers that must come forward, be experienced, and be recognized before energetic union with you can occur. Consider this process as a form of deep spiritual surgery. You represent the final healing frequency, the one that integrates, balances, and stabilizes once the purification process is complete, once the wounds have been exposed and cleared. But before that stage, before true integration can take place, someone must enter the darkest regions of his inner world. Someone who resonates with what remains unhealed. Someone who activates the destructive cycles. Someone who brings to the surface everything that was previously buried, avoided, or denied. This person isn't taking your place. She's preparing his emotional, psychological, and spiritual groundwork so that when you eventually come together, there are no lingering fragments, unacknowledged shadows, or unconscious patterns that could sabotage the union. A third-party karmic often carries deep energetic similarities with significant figures from his past, and this is never accidental. She might resonate energetically with his mother, triggering early wounds, feelings of abandonment, suffocation, conditional love, or emotional manipulation that formed when he was completely dependent and vulnerable. She could also carry echoes from past life relationships, unresolved karmic debts, betrayals left unforgiven, or loves that ended tragically and left marks on his soul across lifetimes. At times, she may simply embody specific patterns, emotional dependency, fear of genuine intimacy, the need to control, or emotional habits developed as survival mechanisms in this life or previous ones. From the outside, it may look like he's trapped in a destructive dynamic, one that seems painfully wrong or clearly inappropriate. But behind the scenes, what's actually occurring is a deep and necessary process. All those unconscious patterns and buried wounds are being brought to the surface of his awareness. She isn't taking him away from you, nor occupying a place that belongs to you. She's doing the extremely challenging, often painful work of activating everything that must be healed and integrated before he can sustain the high frequency of true union with you. While you may judge the situation, comparing yourself to her, wondering what she has that you don't, or despairing because he seems to choose her over you, the universe is quietly orchestrating the essential healing process through this karmic connection. The universe isn't being cruel. It's operating with profound intelligence that far surpasses your limited understanding. Here's the insight many on the twin flame path never grasp. The third-party karmic only holds power as long as certain energies exist within you. Her presence continues only while duality pulses inside the divine feminine, the judgment, comparison, resentment, competition, and the perceived separation between you and him. That physical and emotional distance mirrors a deeper internal separation within you. a gap between you and unity, you and God, you and the understanding that everything happening now serves the highest good of all involved. When looking at this third party evokes rage, envy, frustration, contempt, or judgment of her or his choices, you're operating in the densest frequency of duality. You've divided reality into right and wrong, deserving and undeserving, victim and villain. In doing so, you create a competition where there should only be recognition that each soul, including hers, is fulfilling a precise role in a cosmic plan far larger than your pain-limited perspective can perceive. As long as you maintain this vibration of duality, continuing to view the situation through separation, judgment, or competition, you are, in effect, keeping the door closed to the union you desire. You are generating the energetic resistance that keeps everything exactly as it is. You are the one fueling the separation you perceive, which shows up externally as her presence between you and him. The hard truth, the truth that stings but also frees, is this: the third party isn't there to punish you, test you, or make you suffer. She exists to reveal where you haven't yet chosen yourself as the primary source of love, completeness, validation, and approval. Every time you compare yourself to her, scroll through her social media looking for problems in the relationship, wonder what she has that you don't, or question why he stays with her instead of you, you are sending a clear energetic message to the universe. You are signaling that your peace, happiness, and sense of wholeness depend on external circumstances. The essential lesson of the twin flame journey, and the most critical one, is that a true, conscious, and sustainable union is only possible between two people who are already complete individually, who have already chosen themselves as their primary source of love. Reflect honestly. How many times have you checked her social media searching for signs of conflict? How often have you fantasized about them breaking up, imagining that it would automatically bring him back to you? How many times have you felt a secret, almost shameful satisfaction when you noticed they were struggling, as if his challenges with someone else somehow validated your worth or proved you were the right choice? All of this, every thought, every reaction, is duality in its rawest form. All of it is separation operating within you. All of it keeps you trapped in the vibrational state that blocks the union you desire. Depth psychology teaches a fundamental principle you must internalize. What you resist persists and grows. Every ounce of energy you pour into resisting her presence, wishing she would vanish, judging his choice, or rationally analyzing why this is happening, is actually sustaining exactly what you want to dissolve. You are not yet understanding the fundamental energetic law. As long as resistance exists within you, the external manifestation of what you resist will continue without fail. This spiritual law is as reliable as gravity. Her presence continues not because the universe is cruel, not because God has abandoned you, not because you are unworthy, and not because he doesn't love you. She is there because you have a crucial lesson to learn through her existence. She is your teacher just as much as he is your mirror. The lesson she brings is the most vital one on the spiritual path, true unconditional love. And this is not the romanticized, superficial, unconditional love people often describe. This is real, mature, transcendent, unconditional love. You need to integrate it so deeply that it becomes part of your very being. True unconditional love does not mean loving only when circumstances align with your desires, when he is available, or when he chooses you. True unconditional love means genuinely wishing for the highest good of everyone involved, including her and him. Even when the highest good in the present moment doesn't align with your personal desires, plans, or expectations, it's about being able to observe the full situation, including all individuals involved, even the painful presence of a third party, and trusting deeply that a divine intelligence is at work. This intelligence operates on a level far beyond what your limited human understanding can grasp. When you make this profound internal shift, you begin to see the other person not as an enemy to defeat or an obstacle to remove, but as a soul companion serving a sacred, necessary role in the spiritual journey of all three involved. At that point, something remarkable occurs in the energetic field connecting you. You stop losing precious energy through resentment, comparison, judgment, and resistance. You no longer generate the energetic friction that keeps circumstances frozen. Instead, you create space, an energetic vacuum, allowing the universe to realign external events according to spiritual truth rather than your ego-driven desires. This deep vibrational shift doesn't mean ignoring the pain of seeing him with someone else. It's not about spiritual bypassing, denying or suppressing legitimate feelings of frustration, sadness, or disappointment. It's much deeper. It's consciously moving through these difficult emotions, letting them pass through without attachment or identity, until you reach a place of understanding beyond pain. It's honestly acknowledging that you wish things were different, that you wish he were free, that union had already occurred, but simultaneously accepting completely and deeply that in this eternal now, everything is exactly as it needs to be. In this way, everyone involved, including you, grows according to the soul's meticulous pre-incarnation plan. There's a vast difference between giving up and surrendering, though many confuse the two. Giving up is bitterly declaring the connection unreal, that you were wrong about everything, and dismissing it as illusion or fantasy. Surrender, on the other hand, is recognizing fully that the connection is real, that the soul recognition is true, while accepting that the timing and manifestation of this union do not depend on your willpower, efforts, or strategies. They rely on precise alignment of spiritual factors beyond your control or understanding. True surrender is not passivity or weakness. It's profound wisdom. It's letting go of trying to force, manipulate, or accelerate the process through rituals, visualizations, or affirmations, and entrusting the situation to an intelligence far greater than yourself. You acknowledge, with humility, that unseen forces are at work, tirelessly serving the highest good of everyone involved, including you. One of these invisible but powerful forces is the role the third party karmic currently plays in your divine masculine's life. Consider this from a new perspective. If this person weren't present, if the path between you two were clear, you might have united long ago. But such a union would likely have been premature before you were both truly ready for the intensity of this connection. Premature twin flame unions, before necessary inner work is complete, often result in destructive patterns, emotional codependency, unhealthy fusion, and loss of individuality. The relationship may feel intense and passionate, but ultimately unsustainable, burning too brightly and collapsing under unresolved unconscious issues and destructive patterns. The third party, consciously or unconsciously, acts as a perfectly calibrated cosmic timer. She holds space until everyone's inner healing, especially his, reaches maturity. Only then can the union occur in a conscious, balanced, long-term and sustainable way. She isn't blocking anything. In fact, her presence ensures that when the union finally occurs, it will happen in the right way, at the right time, perfectly aligned with divine timing. Both of you will be ready to handle the intensity, responsibility, and level of consciousness required for a true twin flame union. Here's a perspective that may seem controversial or hard to accept, but is true from a higher spiritual viewpoint in many cases. The third-party karmic is herself a highly courageous, evolved soul. Before incarnating, she may have agreed to take on an extraordinarily challenging, painful and sacrificial role in this complex spiritual scenario. On the spiritual plane, she may have chosen to act as a catalyst, helping the divine masculine confront his deepest wounds and unresolved patterns, even knowing that once her role was complete, the connection would naturally dissolve and she would continue on her own path. Through this experience, she may also be navigating her own intense growth, learning lessons about love, attachment, identity, and surrender. When you expand your perspective to include her journey, you can see her not as a villain, but as an equally vital and necessary participant in this shared spiritual story. This understanding allows for profound shadow integration and a move beyond immature duality into mature unity. You stop viewing the situation as a battle between you and her and begin to see all three souls participating in a highly intricate spiritual choreography, one that was carefully planned and agreed upon before any of you were born. This deeper awareness doesn't come from the rational mind, which wants to analyze, control, and predict. It arises from the spiritual heart, which perceives divine perfection in every circumstance, even those causing temporary pain, seeming injustice, or tests of faith. It comes from a visceral trust that the universe is guiding, caring for, and loving you unconditionally, even when external appearances suggest abandonment or rejection. When you reach this elevated consciousness, when you can view the situation, including the third party's presence, with compassion rather than resistance, and genuinely wish well for everyone involved, something remarkable happens. You don't diminish your own connection to truth or surrender what is divinely yours. Instead, a profound energetic shift occurs. The divine masculine senses this shift immediately, not through words or actions, but energetically and telepathically at the soul level. He feels a release of pressure and tension, and a new space opens where there was only resistance before. Most importantly, when you transcend duality and judgment, embrace understanding, and see connection rather than separation, you stop generating the energetic resistance that had frozen the external situation. The deepest truth, understood by few, is this: as long as separation, judgment, duality, and resistance exist within you, the universe will mirror them externally through the presence of the third party until those inner blocks are resolved. Not as a cruel punishment, nor as a sadistic test, but as a patient teacher. Not to make you suffer unnecessarily, but to clearly show you what still needs to be seen, felt, recognized, and integrated within yourself. The third party karmic acts as a mirror, just as the divine masculine does. She reflects back to you through your emotional reactions to her, through the feelings that arise when you think of her or see her with him, exactly where you still operate from scarcity instead of abundance, separation instead of unity, fear instead of unconditional love. Every time jealousy flares up inside you, it reveals precisely where you haven't fully trusted your own inherent worth, where you still seek validation from outside yourself. Every time anger rises, it shows where you haven't fully accepted divine timing, where you are still trying to control outcomes. Every time you compare yourself to her, it highlights where you haven't recognized yourself as complete, whole, and sufficient exactly as you are. These painful mirrors are not random acts of cosmic cruelty. They are profound gifts disguised as suffering. They are rare healing opportunities that exist only because this particular situation was created, allowed, and orchestrated. If you consciously use these moments, allowing each difficult emotion to guide you toward deeper self-awareness and integration instead of simply reacting, you are doing the sacred inner work your soul came here to do. When that inner work is truly complete, when you have transcended duality and fully embraced unity, the external function of the third-party karmic naturally resolves itself, without you needing to take any action. This does not necessarily mean she disappears dramatically from his life the next day. Rather, it means you stop obsessing over her presence because your peace, happiness, and sense of completeness no longer depend on external circumstances or who is physically beside him. It can mean that when union occurs in perfect timing, it happens naturally, fluidly, and inevitably, so much so that you barely remember the intense drama, pain, and resistance that existed before. It can mean realizing with surprise that true union was already occurring at a spiritual level all along, independent of physical circumstances. If you are at a point where her presence feels unbearable, where each day with her seems to confirm you are wrong about everything, that maybe he is not your twin flame, and that perhaps you should give up and move on, I invite you to try a radical experiment unlike anything you've attempted before. Instead of resisting, judging, or comparing, and instead of wasting energy on resentment, try for one full day to send genuine love to her, not fake or performative love, but sincere acknowledgement that she is a soul doing her best with the consciousness she currently has. Recognize that, consciously or unconsciously, she is serving a purpose far greater than either of you can understand with your limited rational mind. She is not your enemy, but your cosmic sister on a complex spiritual journey. Notice mindfully what happens within you when you do this honestly. Observe if some tension in your body eases, if new space opens in your chest, if a sense of calm arises. Continue this practice day after day, week after week, until it no longer feels like effort, but becomes your natural state. Persist until you can genuinely wish for her well-being, happiness, and growth without seeing it as a threat to your own. Continue until you truly understand that her happiness and yours are not mutually exclusive, that unlimited abundance can exist for everyone, and that real love does not operate in scarcity or competition. When you reach this elevated state permanently, not just fleetingly, you complete a profound stage in your individuation journey. You demonstrate to the universe that you are ready for a union free from neurotic possessiveness, destructive competition, or desperate need. Your vibration reflects spiritual maturity, the ability to love without grasping, to trust without controlling, and to deeply desire without despairing. It is exactly at the moment of full surrender, when you no longer resist her presence and accept with your entire being the sacred role she plays, that her karmic function naturally begins to dissolve. Not because you acted to remove her, not because of any manifestation technique, but because you stopped creating the energetic resistance that kept her there. You stopped fueling the internal duality that manifested externally as physical separation between you and your divine masculine. True twin flame union doesn't occur simply when all external obstacles are removed. It's not just when the third party exits the scene or circumstances align perfectly. Union happens when you eliminate the fundamental internal separation. When you completely stop dividing the world into us versus them, right versus wrong, deserving versus undeserving, or victim versus villain. When you see, with absolute clarity, that everyone and everything is contributing to the evolution of collective consciousness, including the third party you once viewed as an obstacle, an enemy, or the source of your pain. Perhaps the greatest unseen gift this karmic person provides isn't leaving your life to clear the path for you, but pushing you, through their painful presence, to develop a love so elevated, so unconditional, so transcendent, and so free of ego that, when union finally occurs at the perfect moment, you can sustain it with the maturity and consciousness that would never have been possible if the path had been easy. Without obstacles, without this alchemy of suffering transforming you, the lesson might never have been learned. Perhaps this person exists in your life to teach you that true mature love doesn't compete, doesn't judge, and doesn't compulsively compare. True love sees divine perfection in all circumstances without exception and trusts the process so fully that it can relax in the present rather than fight against it. If you've reached this point, you already feel deep within that this message is for you. The key to your union isn't in removing the third party, but in transcending the duality inside yourself. Leave a comment with the word unity if you understand that as long as judgment exists internally, separation will appear externally. For those who want to dive deeper into this transformational journey, I created exclusive ebooks especially for those on the twin flame path. The first, 21 Days of Transformation with Carl Jung, is a practical guide to step out of duality and raise your vibration to the frequency of unity that naturally attracts true union. It offers 21 days of exercises rooted in Jungian psychology, shadow work, and practices to identify where separation still operates and develop real unconditional love. The second, the Soul Survival Manual, addresses the reality that even with understanding, some days remain challenging. It provides proven methods to stop energy leaks, overcome resistance, and become energetically irresistible, not through manipulation, but through genuine transformation. It gives a complete step-by-step guide to transcend judgment and enter unity. Links are pinned in the comments and description. Don't let your journey stop here. Take the next step toward conscious union. Remember, the third party karmic only has power while activating something unhealed within you. When inner unity is present, there's no external competition, only the recognition that everything is serving the higher plan perfectly. You are not alone, and every step you take toward unity is a step toward your true self.